I'm going to call this meeting to order. Ms. Fazzoni, please call roll.
Councilman Casto.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn.
Yes.
Councilman Register.
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer.
Yes, ma'am. Today's invocation is led by Pastor Rob Rains from the Ark Church. Please stand.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I pray for the flourishing of our community, spiritually, socially, and economically. May we work together to create a place where all are valued, where justice and righteousness prevail, and where the needs of the most vulnerable are met. I pray for those who are in position of leadership within our community. Grant them wisdom, discernment, and humility as they serve the needs of the people. May they be guided by your truth and by your love. Finally, Lord, I thank you for the gift of community and for the bonds of love and fellowship that unite us. Help us to be instruments of your peace, shining your light and spreading your love wherever we go. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Please join Councilman Casto for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to do the community announcements. On October 26th, so that's is that Saturday, there's the fishing rodeo at Frank Brown Park. I don't exactly know what a fishing rodeo is, but it sounds really fun.
It's fun.
It's fun? Okay.
A lot of kids fishing for bass.
Okay. Between October 23rd and 27th, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a Thunder Beach motorcycle rally going on, partially at Frank Brown Park and also all around the community. On November 2nd, there's a Visit PCB Ironman Florida event that will be at Aaron Besant Park and the pier, and there will be a road race. Between November 7th and 9th is the Emerald Coast Cruising Car Show at Aaron Besant. On November 11th, Veterans Day, the city offices are closed, and there will be a Veterans Day memorial service at Aaron Besant Park and also a parade at Pier Park. There's only 2 council meetings left in 2024. We typically only do one in November and one in December because of the holidays. So the next council meeting is going to be November 14th here at City Hall in the morning at 9 a.m. And then the final city council meeting of the year will be Thursday, December 12th here at City Hall at 9 a.m. Next up is the approval of the meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilman Casto.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn.
Yes.
Councilman Register.
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer.
Yes, ma'am. Next, we're going to approve the agenda and do any additions or deletions. Mr. Whitman?
No addition or deletions today.
Okay, anything from council?
Motion approved.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilman Casto.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn.
Yes.
Councilman Register.
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman.
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer.
Yes, ma'am. Now we're on, well, we have a bunch of presentations today. First, we're going to do the Employee Years of Service Awards, presented by Councilman Casto.
Each month, we recognize some of our city employees for years of service, and today we have quite a few, as you can see up here. So I think in the interest of time, we're going to do these by department. And first up is our Building and Planning Department. I'd like to ask Lauren Pumphrey and Michael Kuntz to come forward, please. Each one of these employees have completed 5 years of service. The mayor, City Council and staff of the City of Panama City Beach extend the sincerest appreciation to Lauren Pumphrey and Michael Kuntz for 5 years of service, for dedication, service, and commencement to the City of Panama City Beach. Thank you guys for your service very much. Speak.
I truly enjoy working for the city. Thank you so much.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, guys. Mel, you have anything you want to say?
We love both of them very much.
Okay, thank you.
I want to block you, Paul.
Okay, next up is the fire department. Katie Odom, would you please come forward, please, Katie? The mayor, the city council, and the staff of the City of Panama City Beach extend the sincerest appreciation to Katie Odom for dedicated service and commencement to the City of Panama City Beach for 5 years of service. Congratulations.
Thanks for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Chief.
Yeah, so Katie came to us in September of 2019 on the heels of Hurricane Michael and just before COVID hit. So a lot of challenging times over the last 5 years. It's crazy, it's been 5 already. Thank you for your dedication. You make us a better department and a better community.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next up is the police department. Would Caleb Perkins please come forward? The mayor, city council, and staff of the City of Panama City Beach extend the sincerest appreciation to Caleb Perkins for dedicated service and commencement to the City of Panama City Beach for 5 years service. Thank you very much. Deputy Chief Lindsay.
Just real quick, just want to say that Caleb is truly a protector and a defender of this community. We're happy to have him. He doesn't waver, he doesn't back down, and hopefully he'll be here for many, many more years to come. And on a personal note, Caleb and his newborn and his lovely wife are over there actually bought my house, so I feel like the house is still in good hands, so I appreciate him for that.
Thank you. Picture here. Okay, next up is our Public Works Department. Would Brent Miller, Joseph Pace, and Roosevelt Brown please come forward? The mayor, the city council, staff of the City of Panama City Beach extend the sincerest appreciation to these three guys. Brent Miller, Joseph Pace, and Roosevelt Brown for 5 years of service with the City of Panama City Beach. Congratulations. Flag here. Kathy, I failed to ask if you had anything you want to say about these guys.
So I'm up here to talk about Joe, and why we'll talk about the others because he works directly with them. But Joe is he's one of our most dedicated and knowledgeable inspectors. He works nights, he works weekends, he works any emergency I call him in for. And he handles all the CRA problems, so don't call him. But we really looked at when we got Joe. I mean, he's super dedicated, and we're glad that he joined the Public Works team. And here's Wyatt.
Both of these guys are amazing. They really are amazing representative of the city, as well as Joe. I mean, all three of them are. But Roosevelt works with the stormwater department. He's going and making our community resilient and does an incredible job, does good jobs on form boards and other such things, and is just so great. Mr. Brent works our knuckle boom trucks with our street department, and he is typically out in the field alone. And him demonstrating, we're constantly getting praises of how respectful, the amazing job that he does, and he is just such an amazing individual who reflects the values of the city. So we appreciate all three of these guys, and they're great.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Our employees really do make the city of Panama City Beach. And we got a couple of more presentations, so I'll try to get on through these. And Firefighter of the Year presentation, Austin Walker. Would you please come forward along with Chief Ray Morgan.
So every year, along with the Optimus Club, members of our department choose one person that has represented us in a higher standard, and that, which is very difficult to pick out just one person. Austin was recognized this year from his lieutenant as being our Firefighter of the Year, and I could not agree more. Austin is one of these individuals that when you're around him, you want to be a better person. He has a laundry list of advanced trainings and life saves that he's given to this department and this community. And I can honestly say, having Austin on that engine, when that engine rolls out, this community is safer because of him and his team. You make our department better, you make our community better, and I'm humbled to work with you. Thank you, Austin. Congratulations.
Just wanted to say I appreciate working for such an aggressive and humble group of guys and gals, and hopefully continue to do so, and thank you for this amazing award. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Austin. Congratulations.
Just get all the way there. That's good.
Thank you.
That's right.
The Chief, don't go far. Designating October as Fire Prevention Month in the city of Panama City Beach. Whereas in 1920, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed October the 9th the first Fire Prevention Day, calling on the public to learn more about the risks of deadly fires and commemorating the thousands who have lost their lives to these tragedies. More than a century later, our nation observes Fire Prevention Month by renewing our commitment to fire safety and preparedness through education, by taking steps to prevent fires in our homes, schools, workplaces, and the great outdoors. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'll make this quick. You guys have heard enough from me talk. We got business to do. But this year is a focus on smoke detectors. They do save lives. Unfortunately, we have quite a few deaths nationally every year due to residential fires. 3 out of 5 of those deaths occur in homes that don't have working smoke detectors or don't have smoke detectors at all. So we're really, our team does a great job of keeping this community safe, but we ask for your help to help us with that. Check your smoke detectors. Change your batteries twice a year. Make sure they work once a month. Thank you. Thank you for recognition.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, next is Veterans Day proclamation. I'd like to ask Commander Mac Centuri to come forward and Senior Vice Commander James Brady to come forward, please. Recognizing November 11, 2024 as Veterans Day, whereas the City of Panama City Beach is committed to supporting the United States of America, the state of Florida, and the courageous men and women who have bravely served our country in all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces. And whereas these veterans who live in our community serve our country in times of peace and conflict, may willingly enter harm's way to fight for America's principles that define the character of our great nation. Whereas through their selfless service, these dedicated veterans have kept America resilient, have inspired generations through patriotic service, and have proven their heroism and love of country. And whereas each year on Veterans Day, we recognize and honor with appreciation and respect the men and women who served in our armed forces to keep our nation secure and advance the cause of freedom worldwide. Now, therefore, the City Council of the City of Panama City Beach does hereby proclaim November 11, 2024 as Veterans Day. So,
well, thank you, everyone. Mayor, Councilman. Would like to invite everybody to the parade that we're going to have on Veterans Day. If you're interested, we're going to post the route for everyone to attend. And anyone who has a golf cart who wants to decorate it patriotically, please join us in front of JCPenney's at 2 p.m. It'll start at 2:30 p.m. and we'll end with a ceremony at Aaron Besson Park Veterans Memorial. So thank you.
So we pushed a lot of these presentations because of the hurricane. So that's why we're so stacked up on this one. We have a few more. One is an update by Bay District School Superintendent Mark McQueen. Superintendent McQueen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Thank you so much for the invitation to come and give to you and your citizens an update of the Bay District Schools. I do want to commend the City of Panama City Beach. I have had the great privilege of working with both Drew and Holly, and when you're recognizing your teammates as you have done, it's extraordinary. You know, they said that New York City was the only city that never slept. I will tell you, now having been in city government, cities never sleep, and it's because of the men and women that you've recognized that do the hard work to support your citizens. And I applaud all of those great teammates for what they're doing to serve their citizens. As a part of that is Bay District Schools. As we strive to put the A back in Bay, there are a lot of initiatives that we're doing to help all of our schools. I would like to highlight in particular those that are out here within Panama City Beach. It's very clear that we have a magnificent education system out here on the beach. I will tell you, I couldn't be more proud of what we're doing with Arnold High School, Surfside, Hutchinson, and Breakfast Point, of which out of those 4, we have 3 A schools and 1 B school. The B school being Arnold High School, but they're really, really close to becoming an A school. And so I can't wait for those Arnold High School Marlins to become that A school, and we have a perfect situation out here on the beach. I would like to highlight a lot of initiatives that we're doing within the district to help enhance the quality of the education experience for all of our students. So allow me to go through a couple of highlights. One is on Arnold High School. We've got a new field house going in, lights on the softball and baseball fields. We have new lights going in at Gavlax Stadium. We also have a new gym video wall scoreboard that's going to go in the gymnasium, and that really is a partnership with St. Joe, who's came alongside and helped provide a grant so that we can have this massive board inside the gym. Couldn't be more proud of the Arnold athletic programs. As we put the A back in Bay and we're focusing on accountability and attendance, we're focusing on academic achievement, arts, and athletics. Let me tell you, the boys cross country champs, 2nd year in a row. Hua. Arnold football, they have turned it around. You know, they had 2 wins in the last 3 years until this year. They're 6-3, number 7 in the region right now. Couldn't be more proud of that turnaround status. And then also, we're doing a groundbreaking here very shortly, and certainly you'll be invited to the new field or the new court, beach volleyball. We're expanding beach volleyball in the county, and the first 2 sites, one being Arnold High School, the other one being over at Mosley High School. And so we're really excited about extending beach volleyball to all of our students. At Surfside, an A school this year, we've expanded our special needs capability. The Margaret K. Lewis Acute Special Needs Facility, which is over at Millville, we had a lot of students that were here over on the island that were having an enormous bus rides one way to get there. And so we extended that here and at Surfside with the extension of Margaret K. Lewis. So we've added more facilities for that. We've done enhancements to the gyms, playground equipment. We are absolutely moving forward with a full refurbishment of the facade of the front entry for the school. So at Surfside, you're going to see a whole new entrance that's coming on. And let me tell you about your students as well. Girls volleyball, county champs, 5 years in a row. That's extraordinary. And boys cross country, champions, first year, because this is the first year we've ever extended cross country to middle school. So they set the bar very, very high for all other middle schoolers to follow. Hutchinson Beach. We've done a total renovation of the media center. If you haven't been there, you really need to see it. It's absolutely extraordinary. New flooring systems in the cafeteria. We are also doing a full facade replacement of what's going to go on in the front of Hutchinson Beach Elementary. It's an A school this year. Couldn't be more proud of what they've accomplished in this under the great leadership of Miss Newscajan. Also, Breakfast Point. Wow. K-8 school, and I want to tell you, I couldn't be more proud of what they're doing. Again, a traditional A school. Mr. Whitfield is doing a phenomenal. Actually, Dr. Whitfield just got his doctorate degree. Very proud of that as well. We had a total revamping of the media center and the gymnasiums and the concession center. We have 86, we talk about safety and security. We've added 86 new camera systems inside that school so we can ensure safety and security for all of our students in that school. We do that, by the way, at all of our schools. It just happened to be that we needed to enhance that over there at Breakfast Point. We have a new football field scoreboard, which was donated by our great partners by Coca-Cola. And we want to really are very excited about doing this. It's not very glamorous, but we're replacing 3 200-ton chiller air conditioning systems there at Breakfast Point. As we strive to put the A back in Bay, these are the initiatives that we're trying to do and that we have done to help enhance the education experience for all of our students. They're working hard. To share with you in the district, in the macro sense, when I became the superintendent of the Bay District Schools last August, we were 35th in the state. We were in the bottom half of the state. This past year, our students rose to the occasion, number 25 in the state. They have shown that now they're in the top third out of 67. They're right there showing that we've overcome Hurricane Michael, Sally, Fred, 3 tornadoes, pandemic, wildfire. They've shown their resiliency, their determination, their resolve to learn, and they're showing it, beating out their peers in the state that did not go through those challenges. So I commend our students, our faculty and the staff that work tirelessly to pour into these students, to your teammates in the fire department and the police department that come alongside and provide the supplemental augmentation of safety and security. Is absolutely the perfect arrangement. I want to thank you for that. Lastly, as we have moving forward and putting the A back in Bay, we're moving forward with a new strategic plan. We just were accredited. It's been 10 years since we went through the accreditation process. We just got our accreditation, so we're good for the next 6 years. But that doesn't mean we need to pause. We have a new strategic plan that we're developing. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for sitting on that commission that we are doing to help us chart the future for all of our schools within Bay District schools. And we're looking forward to rolling that plan out early next winter, a spring time frame. And then lastly, how can we help? I want to thank you so much for what you did to put a sidewalk system in there, right there next to Arnold High School. That is extraordinary and is so helpful as we have safe routes to school. But more than that, I would ask that we come alongside these students. Students need direction, they need guidance, they need mentoring. And we have a phenomenal Elevate Bay program that is available for any of our citizens to come alongside. Just contact the district office at the front office, the number, and they will connect you to Stacy Legg. And we would love to have more mentors to come alongside our students. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you for what you're doing to help come alongside Bay District schools as we all strive to put the A back in Bay. Subject to your questions, I appreciate this opportunity for giving you the update.
Thank you, Superintendent. Any questions?
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you
really
very much.
appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Incredible progress, and we're really happy to partner with you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
so much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, that was exciting. Next up is the half-cent infrastructure surtax presentation by Assistant City Manager Holly White.
Hopefully they'll put this up on the board. So just to give you a brief background on the half-cent surtax. In November of 2016, the Bay County voters approved the half-cent sales tax, and mechanically how that works real quickly is, you go buy something out at the vendor, they charge the sales tax, they charge an additional 0.5%, they remit those funds to the Department of Revenue, and the department turns around and remits everything collected in Bay County to the county and to the municipalities based upon a statutory formula. And that formula is based upon population. And so we get our share of that tax. This graph that I have up here, it's a little hard to see, it's kind of small, but I wanted to give you a sense of what we've collected since this tax was put into place. So it was effective January 1 of 2017. This is cash collections. You see our first collection is March of 17, and the reason for that is you pay the vendor in January, the vendor remits the tax to the state of Florida in February, and the state of Florida turns around and remits it to us in March. So when you look at this, this is the month that the funds were collected. What it really represents is activity in Bay County 2 months prior to that. And remember, this is countywide, not just the beach. But over the course of the collection of this tax from January 17 through September of 24, we've collected almost $13 million from the half-cent sales tax. So that's $13 million that the city's been able to leverage with other funding. It's $13 million that we didn't have to take out of the general fund to do the road projects that we've done, which has allowed that money to be freed up and do other things. And so real quickly, I'll run through for you some of the projects that we've done with our money. If I get IT to put that up there. So there we go. So this slide makes the points I already talked about. But so you can see from 2018 to 2021, we let those funds accrue, and we were able to partner with the county and with the state to build Philip Griffiths Parkway Segment 2. We used $6.7 million of surtax funding. which represented about 43% of the total project costs. And then, like I said, we leveraged the rest of those funds with county and state funds, which allowed us to build that road and provide some relief to Back Beach Road and give us another evacuation route. And that used most of the funding that we collected in those early years. And then what we've been doing since then, in 22 and 23, we did 12.7 miles of road resurfacing to the tune of $3.4 million. Those roads were selected based upon a study that the city had done a number of years ago that graded those roads. So staff tries to do them from a worst to first condition. And they also try to spread out those road projects throughout the city so that not all of the improvements are being done in one particular section, but that everybody receives some benefit from the funding. So you'll see as we go through, I'm not going to read every one of these roads, but you can see that they're all over the city. They're not concentrated in one geographic area. And you can see some of these roads throughout Lowater, Colony Club, Bahama Beach, Summerwood, Open Sands. And then where we're at today is in the budget process, the council allocated funding from the half-cent sales tax to improve Clarence Street. That's a road that's been in a substandard condition for a number of years. And so we have a project in place that's going to widen that road, resurface it, provide some lighting and some sidewalks. That project went out to design last year. It is scheduled to begin construction this year. Hopefully that RFP will be on the streets, or ITB, whichever path they choose, will be on the streets in a couple months, and we'll get some bidders on that project, and we'll be bringing that back to you. Our plans going forward for resurfacing money is just for half-cent sales tax money to continue the resurfacing program. And Paul knows this well because he was in public works for many years. We didn't have anywhere near this kind of funding to resurface roads for a lot of years. Our resurfacing budget was, if we were lucky, $500,000. Now we're able to schedule $2.5 to $3 million per year without impacting the rest of the general fund. So it's been a huge benefit to the city. Our resolution 1739 that the council passed restricts how we spend this money. And so we can only use it for the repair of local roads, to reduce traffic congestion, to improve traffic flow, increase neighborhood safety with pedestrian paths, provide sidewalks to schools, or reduce local flooding. And the other thing that resolution did was appoint a citizens review committee, which the council appoints those 5 citizens. They serve on that oversight committee, and they go behind city staff and review how those funds are come into the city, and more importantly, how we spend them, to make sure that we're spending those funds the way that not only the Florida statute tells us we have to spend them, but the way that the city's resolution tells us that we have to spend them. And so they meet twice a year, and they review the information that the finance department provides, and they provide oversight of those funds to make sure they're being properly spent, and then they come back and report that to you. So that's a quick update of how we get the money, where it comes from, and how we spend it.
Thank you, Ms. White. Questions from the council?
Do we have any idea of where in the future after Clarence we would be looking at repaving roads?
I would have to.
Or neighborhoods?
I'd have to defer to the Public Works Department. I don't know what streets are up next on the schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, if I recall, we have to do the road reevaluation pretty soon.
Okay. I didn't know if Wyatt had already identified some aspects of it.
I suspect they have. I just don't know those off the top of my head.
Yep. Further questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. White. Good job. Next up, public comment on the consent agenda and or non-agenda business. Please come up, state your name, address me or the council as a whole. It is election season, and long-standing city council rules state that you cannot campaign during a council meeting. Thank you.
To get me in touch with the sheriff. Please explain in your words how come.
Hang on. My name is Captain Gary Wayne Beck. I live at 2601 Beach Street.
You answer it. We're a constitutional republic. founded on the Constitution and Bill of Rights, for every man, woman, and child that's ever fought and died for our country, that's lost a leg or an arm. I'm asking you now, how come you haven't been able to get me in touch with the sheriff? Please explain in your words, how come that you are incapable when we're dealing with the molestation of children, the strong-armed extortion of we the people by you, our local elected officials. You have no longer...
Don't worry, it's just happening to the poor people. It's at the poor people's house this is being destroyed. It's the poor people's
on
children.
their homes, destroying them, throwing them onto the streets. The only reason I'm not on the streets right now is because I was willing to use violence.
On multiple different occasions, I was pushed to the point.
That I can more than prove where they violated my constitutional rights and committed felonies when they forged
Habeas.
my name in the courts. Where I can
Everybody goes into the Bay County courthouse.
For over 14 years, I've been keeping up.
Round and around, people's been looking at me. What happened to the Facebook site?
Our local officials have turned yourselves into nuisance and putting we, the people that you're supposed to serve, on the streets with nowhere to go.
Poor people with children.
Thrown out of the Bay County Commission and not allowed to speak. I've been thrown
Because they
out
don't want me to say the felonies that they're committing.
and not Panama City Beach, but the Panama City Commission are not allowed to speak. And y'all tell me I have to...
That's when they destroyed my uncle's
I
home.
remember that. Why is that? Because I'm one of the few people that's willing to stand up. Now, please, Mayor...
All the people that fought and died for our country.
People, how come you've made yourselves public nuisance using man and material to burden the people, and you sit up there and you
And get
come up with every
rich
type of
off the
statute
people.
to find the people or create money so you can increase your wealth, whether it's the 48 homes that you've taken from the people or the fact that
You
you
know,
don't
the
charge
poor
somebody
people.
for having a wedding on the beach. You know, y'all sit up there and you come up with anything to take and enrich your pockets.
During the meantime, who's suffering? The poor, the weak.
Coming directly against the Constitution and Bill of Rights whenever they deny my habeas corpus, whenever they sit there in the 14th Judicial and create
Everybody
all these
goes into the
cases
14th
and
Judicial
cover up. And
in this
talking about
town.
crimes committed on Panama City Beach. I clearly gave Chief Telemonte a list of different crimes
Forgery.
that was committed on Panama City Beach. And what does he does? He turns a blind eye to it.
Just like everybody else in the law enforcement department on Panama City
Same thing with
Beach.
Officer Tiffany. Whenever she and all
You know,
these people
supposed to be investigating the child molesters.
of the molestation of the child and all the other strong-armed extortion and everything that I have clearly laid out in a federal case, which they did not file, which is a direct violation of my constitutional rights as well. And
It's
all
hard to
the
file a
other
court case to the courts whenever the person that's sitting there takes it and puts it somewhere else.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. Next up.
Scott Hallman, 137 Johnson Bayou Drive. At the last meeting, it was made clear that the mayor was under investigation by the State Ethics Committee. However, in conclusion of the non-consent portion of the agenda that was noticeably absent from Mr. Whitman's summary, I'd like confirmation that that was included in the minutes that you all approved a few minutes ago. It's concerning that this investigation seems to be kept secret. When Chief Tal was under investigation, the situation was handled very publicly. Mr. Whitman said that it was important for transparency due to ensure integrity and of the investigation. The chief was also placed on administrative leave for the same reasons. Yet the mayor remains in charge in the day-to-day operations, and I was just wondering why the rules seem different. There seems to be a lack of transparency, and I've not heard a single conversation in any of these meetings about this. And I don't know if that secrecy is because nobody's aware of what's going on, or if there's a reason not to speak about it here for lack of transparency. But qualified immunity protects public officials from liability only when they do not clearly violate established constitutional rights. If a reasonable public official in a similar situation would have recognized their conduct to be unlawful, the qualified immunity does not apply. I know part of this is talking about Mr. Beck, and as difficult it is to listen to him speak, sometimes freedom of speech is that right, is to be able to speak our minds freely, even if the speech is uncomfortable. And I'm kind of bothered by this, and anyway, I'm asking the city council members, if you agree that there is some sort of violation here that established norms and ethical standards and laws, then You need to consider that possibly the mayor doesn't have qualified immunity in this matter. Taxpayer funds are being used to cover his legal expenses at this point, and I urge you to step in and take action. The mayor's not entitled to the use of tax dollars in his defense because it seems he does lack qualified immunity, and it's your responsibility to protect our interests in our community, to ensure that the public funds are not misappropriated. And I'm curious how much time and how much money has been spent so far on this defense for the investigation. Thank you very much.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Hauptman. Next up.
Morning. I'm Peter Fischetti, resident of Panama City Beach for the last 9 years. Brief history lesson. Ever since the CRA plan to widen Front Beach Road was introduced, I've been attending council meetings expressing my dissatisfaction with the council's silence on that issue, especially from the mayor at the time. Dozens of residents have stepped up to this podium over the last year or two to share their opposition to bus lanes and the planned loss of convenient beachside parking. Ironically, whenever I asked a question about this, I was referred to Scott Passmore to get answers. It's ironic because you are the CRA. You call the shots. I told the mayor that the council's silence spoke volumes and that the voters would remember that at the next election. And you all know how that election in April turned out. By a wide margin, residents embraced the theme of locals first. That means when you vote on an issue, that vote should be based on what's good for our residents. It's that simple. Now, right now, beachgoers can park on the right-of-way along the south side of Front Beach Road. That gives them convenient access to the beach, which is important when you're carrying umbrellas, boogie boards, coolers, chairs, etc. If the right-of-way isn't needed to widen Front Beach Road, why make it inconvenient for us to access the world's most beautiful beach? Lately, the council has been considering the pleas of a few residents who turn their homes into condos for beachside wedding parties. They want to eliminate that parking. I don't think that you have to get married to park close to the beach. So I will remind you that we are watching very carefully the decisions that you'll be making on this issue. I hope it's based on putting locals first. Otherwise, some of you may end up on some board watching planes land.
Thank you, Mr. Fischetti. Any further public comment?
Denise Hatcher. And, you know, I want to remind us all that we are a city of tourism. And if we do choose to put locals first, everything about the locals, nothing about the tourism, which pays tax to keep everybody's salaries paid, all the things that tourism tax does. If we disregard that, we don't consider the tourist or the people who have properties to rent, that's going to be a major problem. Now, if we want to put the citizens of this city first, we can do so. Let's raise the taxes on those people. Let them pay their share. If we are lining Front Beach Road, we have those big high-rises he's talking about, those big, nice $12 million homes, $6 million. We pay a tax of $33,000. Just curious what my friend pays in taxes that just came up here. So we talk about a lot about the people of this city, but remember where the money comes from to run this city is tourism tax dollars. And I commend all the things that are happening to make our city look beautiful. I really think we need to sit down and have conversations when you make decisions about Oleander or any community that affects the people that live there, because they have put a lot of money at stake. Don't just push in because you can and make decisions, or make decisions because you had a meeting over at Bidawee and everybody got together and say, I want this, I want this, I want this, and you give it to them. You see, we all need to play in this game and have a conversation, sit down and talk. It's fair for all people to talk about business when it involves them. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher. Further public comment? Okay. Mr. Whitman, is there anything you'd like to respond to?
Just to Scott, as of last week, we have no billable hours in reference to any ethics violation or complaint, nor have I received a complaint from the state.
Okay, thank you. Any comment from the council?
In response to Mr. Fischetti, I think his questions about parking at Bidway have been responded to. I've made it very clear that until it's a benefit to all citizens and they are public beach accesses, that public funds cannot be used for a private purpose. So, and that has been explained, and it has been rejected. So my hands are tied in that respect. That's all I have.
All right.
I mean, do we want to address also that we are doing a traffic study about the bus lanes, and we absolutely agree that the trolley lanes, I think we have consensus up here that we don't believe that's the best use of those, but none of us are traffic engineers. So we're doing a study to study the entirety of the CRA to make that better and more useful for our residents and tourists alike.
Yep. And I will say, we are working hard to make sure the CRA works both for residents and visitors. It is an important part of city infrastructure going forward, and we are all working diligently to try and find a good balance there. You see that in our public meetings. You see that in the discussions we have with residents. Everyone up here is working hard on that.
Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the consent agenda. Ms. Fazzoni.
Resolution 2507, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the purchase and application of turf treatment chemicals from Southeastern Turf Grass Supply, Inc. for the Parks and Recreation Department in an amount not to exceed $106,000. Resolution 2508, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving the renewal of the agreement with HMX Productions for audio-visual production and entertainment services for the annual summer concert series held at Aaron Besant Park for a fee of $5,500 per concert. Resolution 2509, a resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the purchase of water and reclaimed water meters from Core and Main LP for the Utilities Department in an amount not to exceed $900,000. Item 4, revision of the master audit list to remove obsolete items.
Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tuttimer?
Yes, ma'am. Now we're on to the regular agenda. First item, ordinance 1653. Mr. Davis.
An ordinance of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, establishing the water, sewer, and reclaimed water rates for fiscal year 2024-25 and thereafter, increasing the water rates in the amount of 1% and increasing sewer and reclaimed rates in the amount of 4%, all as more particularly stated in the body of this ordinance, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, liberal interpretation, modifications, codification, and providing an effective date of November 1, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Schaefer, could you come up and help us understand this change? I will say, while Mr. Schaefer's coming up, our first reading on this was Thursday, September 12th, 2024 meeting, so we're not going to go over everything again. Citizens should go back and look at that meeting. But
Okay. I guess everybody's primarily interested in how does that compare with the market? Up here on the overhead is the slide for water rates in Bay County. We're represented by the shorter blue bar in the middle. As you can see, our peers in the county are considerably higher than us, which is, given the fact that most of us except Lynn Haven buy our water from Bay County, that's pretty high a testament to the city's stewardship of the water rates and how we operate our system, but we all pay the same for raw water, I believe. The next slide is wastewater for your sewer.
She's got it.
Falling down on the job.
The team effort here.
Let's see. I'll get you there.
There we
Mark.
go.
There's sewer. Again, we're not the tallest guy in the lineup. Actually, we're the middle one and the shortest one. So we're considerably less than our peers in the county by a very, very good margin. And then the next one is the combined rate. And again, for the audience, these are based on an in-city resident using 6,000 gallons a month in their water and sewer bill, so which is pretty standard for roughly a two-person home. The last is a combined water and sewer rate, and as you can imagine, the sum of the two low rates still results in a low number. So that's how we compare for both water and sewer with our peers here in the county.
Okay. All right. Mr. Schaefer, I'm sure everyone's interested to understand what strategies you're employing and the city's employing to keep these rates so low.
Well, I'm just the beneficiary of a lot of good decisions and a lot of good leadership in the past by current and previous councils, as well as my predecessor and utilities director. Some very good decisions were made in terms of plant expansions and optimizing what we had. I was involved in the last modification of the conversion of the treatment plant to a different process, but we reused a lot of the tankage in that process. So just real good stewardship. We've got a great group here, and we've had a great leadership in the utilities program. So.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you.
Any public comment? Okay. Any discussion from the council?
I'd just like to say that I think we have the best utility system in the county, and it's because of what Mr. Schaefer just said, long-range planning and these minimal rate increases and rate structures. Small increases are much better than going, which decades ago, I remember the city went like 10 years without any increase, and then all of a sudden we have to have these big 30, 40% rate increases just to keep up with our system. So I'm proud of the utility system we have. We have one of the biggest utility systems in the county and one of the best ran and at the lowest price per 1,000 gallons. So kudos to the utility department for having such a good utility system.
Okay.
Yep. Well said.
Absolutely. Okay.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilmember, Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tedder?
Yes, ma'am. Now we're on to the second agenda item, ordinance 1654. Mr. Davis.
An ordinance of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, amending the city's land development code related to flood management regulations, repealing sections 8-115.1 through 8-115.3 in the city's code of ordinances related to local technical amendments to the Florida Building Code, providing for applicability, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, scrivener's errors, liberal interpretation, modifications, codification, and providing an immediately effective date.
Okay, thank you, sir. The first reading of this was also on Thursday, September 12th, 2024 meeting, so there'll be more details at that meeting. But Mr. Leonard, can you step up and remind us about what we're voting on here?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a result of the new FEMA maps, which take effect today, and the recommendations also from the Florida Department of Emergency Management. This will ensure that we still are in good standing with the National Flood Insurance Program, as well as maintaining our CRS Community Rating System 5, which is very high in the state, which then results in all of our residents who need flood insurance being able to be eligible for a 25% discount from that flood insurance. So these changes are being put in the Land Development Code so that we maintain that status and are making the changes necessary that the new flood maps have created.
Okay. So it's about 5% per rating. We've got
Yes.
a rating of 5, so 25% discount.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Questions from the council for Mr. Leonard?
No.
Okay, thank you,
thank
sir. Any public comment?
Thanks.
I just have a question about that, Nancy Viejo. Where can we find that the new FEMA maps at?
So they will be available both on the 12th agenda. I think it's also available on this agenda as well. So if you go to the agenda packet on the website, you can grab them there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we had a fairly detailed discussion on the 12th meeting about which homes would be impacted. There are going to be some in Colony Club. There are also going to be some near Reed's Court.
Okay, Thank you.
Yep. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, Mr. Leonard. No?
Yes, sir. And then just, I want to add one thing.
Yep.
There's also a link on the city website. If you go to the building division page on the city website and you go to the flood zone area, we have a link to the FEMA maps. It will show the what they were before and what they're changing to.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that, and thanks for the question, Ms. Viejo. Okay. Further public comment? Any discussion from the council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Fazzoni?
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tettemer?
Yes, ma'am. We are now on to agenda item 3, resolution 2510. How are we on 25 already?
Fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
We change the 25 when we get to the fiscal year.
Okay. Living in the future. Mr. Davis.
A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, authorizing the city to negotiate a contract with Core and Main LP for installation and implementation of advanced metering infrastructure for water and reclaimed water meters in the city's utilities franchise area for a 5-year period not to exceed the amount of $8,697,999.62.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Schaefer, we missed you. Come on back up.
We're going to let you control it yourself.
Oh, good, thank you. I should have mentioned in the last portion about the rate increase that was the last rate increase of a previous study, 5th year. And the city has commissioned our rate consultant to do another evaluation for the coming 5 years. Everybody knows inflation has been a little bit greater than it was in the previous 5-year period, so I will expect there'll be a little more aggressive adjustments in our rates, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay.
So let's get on to advanced metering infrastructure. For the people that aren't familiar with how we take meter readings in our system for water and reclaimed water use, we actually have a person that goes out and drives around in the neighborhoods with a handheld device, and they touch each meter. And they do it on a 2-month cycle. So every meter in our system is touched with a handheld device. There was an interim step in the technology for reading our meters because they are smart meters. They have the capability of storing data and communicating data. They just don't have antennas on them for that purpose, where they could go and use what they call radio read. And they would drive around with a vehicle that's fitted with a piece of equipment that would pick up all the readings. The meters would talk to it, and they would grab all those meters, so you didn't physically have to touch each meter to get the information. But radio read was an interim step, and the city at the time was looking at, I guess we were evaluating whether we wanted to modify how we were metering our water. There was a change in the meters. The manufacturer introduced a new style of meter, and there was some growing pains with that introduction of that meter. So we kind of paused on that. We're now to the point where the new technology is advanced metering infrastructure, and actually instead of a person going out and touching each meter, now the meters communicate to a tower, and then the tower communicates that data via cell signal to our server. And then that server is available, provides that information real time to our customers and to our utility staff. So it's a big opportunity to increase the amount of data available not only to the individual, but also to the utility department as well. And it would eliminate the need for people to go out and physically have to touch each meter. So this is kind of an overview. This system is manufactured by Census. It's called the FlexNet system. And you can see it's set up for electric meters. Let's see if I can do this in a pointer fashion. There in the lower left, it can collect data from any number of things, gas meters. In this case, we're just talking about water meters. It's conveyed to a tower and then again onto the server, and then that information is available to us and our customers. A radio path study was done to verify the meters could communicate and where the data collectors needed to be located. We are planning on using space on top of our tower on North Gulf Boulevard at the 150-foot elevation. That tower is over 200 feet tall, so we would be in the lower cost real estate area on that. And then the county has agreed to allow us to use the same elevation on the tower at Pete Edwards Field. So that would take care of our east end. West end, there's a couple of smaller, shorter towers needed, 30 or 40 feet in height. One at the water storage tank in Wild Heron, and one, I think, at lift station 87, which is kind of across from, it's just right near Whisper Dunes. So let's go to the next slide. This is an exhibit of what the information that's available to the customer through the dashboard. It's available, as you can see, on a cell phone app, or you can have it on your computer at home. This is where they can start, and it basically provides all that analytical data available to them. So you can, depending on how interested you are, you can really drill down, take a look at your historic use. You can have it send you an alert if you get a sudden increase in flow. You can set it up if you don't want to see your water bill ever go over a certain amount. You can have it flag it and tell you that you're not on track to meet that you're actually using it faster than you really would hope to. So it just opens up a world of data available to our customers. And then you can trend it, as my predecessor used to say, you can geek out. Mr. Short used to talk about, yeah, you can go crazy in there and just trend everything. The utility itself, that information that's available to it, this is the dashboard that they would typically see. And then inside that, you can see customer data immediately. You can see what size meter they have, the serial number of that meter, what sort of alarm is being given off, if it's indicating there's a leak or a dead battery or something like that, it would indicate that to our utility. Also shows you your usage rates. You can do all sorts of consumption analysis, and kind of the really most useful thing for us as a utility when someone's handing off a meter, when someone's selling a home, Mr. Smith is selling to Mr. Jones. In the past, we've had to wait till we got a meter reading, and then we could square up how much Mr. Smith owns and how much Mr. Jones will assume. Now we can do it real time, so they can actually flash that meter and say, okay, here's the reading. They can say, all right, Mr. Jones, this is what you owe. Mr. Smith, this is where you take over.
Okay.
Then you can do summaries of how many meters you got active and so forth. So it just opens up a world of data. By eliminating the need for our meter readers to go out and touch those meters, it reduces the number of vehicles we need for meter reading, gets people out of traffic, makes it safer for them as well. So it really is the state of the technology for the metering industry for the water department. We're a little bit behind a lot of utilities that are surrounding us, but this will put us right up with right at the forefront here. It's not a modest investment, as you can see. It's a very substantial one. We've got it budgeted to happen this year and then 2 successful fiscal years thereafter. If we really like it, we can accelerate that program. We plan on running this as a pilot for 6 months in parallel with our existing system to make sure we've got all the bugs worked out of it and we're happy with it before we really start aggressively rolling it out.
Okay.
With that, I'll answer any questions you may have.
You talk about the bid
Mark,
process.
I'm sorry. Oh, yeah.
the $900,000 not to exceed that we just approved on the regular agenda,
Yeah.
those are smart meters that could be utilized. They're not the old style that couldn't be utilized. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Those are all smart meters.
And of all the meters we have in the system now, are we going to have to change out most all of those, or we've been doing that?
Excuse me, let me let you finish. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just curious how many meters we're going to have to change out, or we've been changing a lot of those out, getting ready for
We
this.
have. Yes, sir, Dan. Short answer to your question, the majority of our small meters are all smart meters.
And the bugs that other communities had with this, when we looked at it 10, 15 years ago, they worked through a lot of those problems?
A lot of them, yes, sir.
What problems do you still see us having when we switch to this?
Probably the most common one is making sure the meter is set up correctly. These meters, when you set them, they're capable of measuring and reporting in tens of gallons, hundreds of gallons, and so forth. And if they're not set up correctly, customer will get a bill that can be off by a factor of 10 because it's the scaling of the meter. And we've actually had that happen in a few instances where someone got a bill and it's like, why is it so high? And then we look at the meter and say, yeah, here's the
And-
problem, it wasn't scaled.
And if
correctly.
somebody parks a car on top of the meter, will it still transmit and read?
It will, but it will store the data too. If it can't transmit, it'll store over 30 days worth of data in the meter.
And I remember from years ago, the high rises were a problem here with the radio waves not being, that's been resolved.
The signal path study indicates they're going to have very high communication with the meters, over 90%. Or excuse me, over 90.
And we're not going to have to buy any locations, put any towers up or anything. We're just going to,
There will be 2 shorter towers on the west end. The cell towers at Gulf Boulevard and Pete Edwards provide the coverage we need on the east end.
but there won't be any cost of us buying any additional land, putting up any towers or anything.
No, they're located on city-owned property, one in Wild Heron and one on Lift Station 87.
Very good. I like it. I think we've been doing our homework on this for a long time. So.
Yes, we have. City manager reminded me, as you can see, we only got 1 bid for this project. The bid documents, primarily the scope of work, was patterned after the city of Fort Walton Beach, which bid this same system in fiscal year '22. They had over 6 respondents, 6 statements of qualifications and bids. Census submitted on that as well, and they were selected. As you can see in your packet, I did an analysis of what it cost per meter, as you know, dollars per meter to provide this service, and we're consistent with those pricing that we saw in Fort Walton Beach. So I don't want to have, I hope people can see that it is a market rate. It's very competitive with the market.
So why do you think we didn't have as many bids as Fort Walton did?
It's really hard to say. We had a lot of interest, had a lot of questions. I really don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Census has an advantage in this, in that it's their meters that are out in the system, but their meters will communicate with other systems. So it's not like they had a monopoly here.
Yeah. And as you said, you did the analysis on cost per meter, and that was
Yes.
equivalent to what Fort Walton awarded on, as well as the annual operating costs. Is that operating cost going to go down after the first 5 years? I see you've done it for the first 5.
All I have is a snapshot of what we took as the bid for the first 5 years. I really
Okay.
can't predict that. Historically, just as an industry, the software tends to go down, I would say.
Okay. And if there's an issue with the towers, is there a backup to doing the meter reading?
Yes, we would go back to radio read. With this bid, they're providing a device that allows us to drive around and pick up radio read our meters. So if we did lose a tower, they did this, they stood up a tower for Panama City. When they lost theirs, they actually brought in a mobile truck-mounted tower like you'd see for a big sports event, and they flipped it up, and then they reestablished their ability to collect data. But our fallback for us, and we may actually use it initially, is the drive-by to just help our meter readers, because our system has grown so much, it becomes harder and harder to touch all of those meters we have in our system every 2 months.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but this will allow us to go to monthly billing, right?
If we choose to, yes, sir, which I would imagine would benefit our customers. They can do a monthly budget instead of having to plan for a 2-month bill.
Now, I know a number of customers actually enjoy coming in and paying their bill. Will they still be able to do that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So they'll get to come in as part of their normal rounds, and I'm not kidding, people enjoy doing that.
Yeah,
That's great.
It'll really help our customer service representatives when someone calls in and they say, why is my bill so high? And so they can look at, okay, well, here was your usage, it was really high. And she goes, well, we fixed our sprinkler timer and it should be using less. They can actually look at where they are at that point in time and say, yeah, you're right, it seems to have dropped on this date and we're trending along.
Yep.
So that may have taken care of the issue.
Yep.
That type of thing.
And I also want to highlight for people on vacation or for part-time owners, they're going to be able to see when there's a spike.
Yes.
Which may indicate a break. It'll be go on vacation, come back, you have a big surprise, a nice wet floor. This will allow them to kind of keep an eye on that. Vice Mayor.
For the resident or for the owner, is there, on the app, is there an alert that they could receive in case, not, okay,
I've got,
yeah.
there's 3 individuals from Core and Main that know a lot more about, they've done this, rolled it out for several utilities in our area. They can provide you a lot more detail, but yes, you can set it up to give you an alert on your app or on your computer.
Okay. I know, like Councilman Castro said, I know the city has spent a lot of time. How long have we been looking at
15 to
radio?
20 years.
15 years.
Holly went down south looking at it.
15
Yeah,
probably.
before pulling the trigger. Where in the process is this? At the tail end now? We're finally getting to where we want to be?
We're not the first wagon down the ruts out west, that's for sure.
Yeah.
We know what we're heading into. A lot of other utilities have been using AMI systems for several years. Panama City uses them. Destin Water Users also has a Census Flex in its system as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Is there any public comment?
Scott Howman, 137 Johnson Valley Drive. For what sounds like a very large investment that we need to make, it sounds like you're getting improved efficiency also. So what will there be a reduction in the consumption rate that the average consumer is going to be paying with these improved efficiencies? Thank you.
Thank you. Drew or Mr. Schaefer?
I'd let Mark answer that, but we have a minimum rate that people have to pay from the get-go. But I'll let Mark answer that.
Okay.
I wouldn't expect it would reflect in a reduction in our rates. It would help decrease the rate of increase of those rates. We would be eliminating some labor requirements and those costs for the vehicles and so forth to go out and read the meters. So I would expect that would be reflected. But operating costs, particularly for the cost of reading meters, is such a very small component of what makes up a water usage charge that I don't think it would be measurable to the average person on their water bill.
Okay. So, yeah, you indicated there would be about a 300,000, we spend about 300,000 annually in labor, transportation, materials to do the reading. We'd have that, but we have a large number of customers.
That's correct.
Yeah.
But we're also paying for it.
That we're also paying for. Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that cost to read meters may go down, but there'll be something else that comes
Yeah.
up in operating
Yeah.
costs that's gonna
It's more a wait and see.
equal or offset it.
Yeah, I think this is part of a package of trying to keep the rate reductions as low as possible.
Continuing to
Especially the rate of increase.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Well, continuing to manually read would only drive the cost up, the operating cost up, so it is
Right.
a
Yeah.
cost-saving move.
Okay. Further public comment? You can talk after the meeting.
I guess what our ultimate goal is
State your name, please.
Janice Hatcher.
Thank you.
The ultimate goal, I think what we're going to do here is with the smart meter, you have fewer meter readers needed. Am I right in saying that? Is that why you're doing the smart meter, so you can read it from a distance point and not have someone come up and tap the meter? Or we're going to try to still continue to do both of those items?
So, Mr. Whitman, I'll let you.
He's going to run a pilot program for 6 months where we'll still have the meter readers out there. But over nutrition, when they retire or we repurpose, we won't need the actual meter readers every week or every month going out there checking them.
Yeah, so we'll retain the staff that we have, but we won't have to replace them when they leave. Also, it's providing a lot more data metrics for the water department to track. It's providing a customer service enhancement to you as a consumer to be able to go on and instantly know what consumption you're using or if there's a problem that you need to be aware of. It's a bunch of benefits for this. Does that explain?
Well, I mean, a water bill is a water bill, and I don't think we all just sit and look at our water bills each month.
No, but if you have a break and you have an app that says, hey, you're spiking, you need to be aware of this, that's a huge benefit.
Yeah, it is a
So-
huge benefit, but the huge expense that we really are looking at is we take on 900,000, so for this smart meter, but then we continue to pay those people who are meter readers for ever how long. I mean, there needs to be a point where you say, let's don't do both, because.
Oh,
it's
there,
time.
yeah, there will be. The attrition is going to be the point, I believe, for the most part.
Yes, and they'll also get repurposed. I apologize. They'll get repurposed to other, no one will be,
Departments.
correct. So they'll get repurposed, their tasks will get reassigned, and through attrition, you'll eventually not replace those meter readers.
Makes sense.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Yeah, the pilot, during the pilot program, we will be able to do both.
Correct.
Eventually, we won't need that function, but it is expensive to recruit and train people, so it's better to bring them and keep them in the organization and find roles for them that we would otherwise have to hire out. Okay. Any further comments from the council? No. Okay, can I get a motion?
Motion to,
Go ahead. Motion approved.
second.
Ms. Vizzoni?
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer?
Yes, ma'am. Congratulations. All right, next up, Resolution 2511. Mr. Davis.
A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, establishing a feline spay and neuter voucher pilot program.
Okay. Ms. White, can you please help us understand what's going on?
I will try. So during the budget process, if you recall, the council allocated up to $40,000 to put in some kind of a spay-neuter program to try to address the feral and community cat problem. And so what staff, and at that time you indicated that you wanted staff to go out and try to come up with some policies, program guidelines. So we did that. We talked to some of the trap and release programs here in Panama City Beach. We went and visited Spay Bay to see what their operation was like and talked to them. And then we looked at some other communities to see what kind of program guidelines and policies they had, and that's what we developed, what's in front of you today. This is just a first draft for you guys to, consider the policies, what you'd like to change, add, delete, modify. It's really just kind of the skeleton for you guys to flesh out and see how you want this program to operate. We based it, the voucher we had it at $40. Spay Bay, since in the 2 weeks since we've put this together, has increased their price to $50 for community and feral cats, but the intention of that voucher is to cover the cost of that stray cat. So for people that trap these cats, take them to Spay Bay, that voucher that they got from the city would then be, they would be able to utilize that to cover the cost of spaying that particular cat if it's their own domestic pet, and they would have some additional cost to pay over and above that voucher price. So they would have some skin in the game for domestic cats, and then how you guys want to administer that is completely up to you.
Okay. Any public comment on this item?
I don't think that Janice Hatcher.
Thank you.
I don't think we should be in the cat spaying business. I mean, really, is that our responsibility? A person has a cat, should take care of it. Are you going to take care of my dog or whatever else, the city, because I choose to neglect or not do what I need to do? I don't think we need to spend money. All citizens need to pay money to take care of somebody's cat who doesn't want to take care of it. They should be required to take care of it, or perhaps give them a fine if they don't. You ever thought about that? And then they'll take that $40,000 totally off the ticket. We are not responsible for somebody else's cat. My opinion.
Thank you, Ms. Hatcher. Further public comment? Okay. Discussion from the council?
Mayor, Ms. Hatcher, I don't know if you're aware, we have a feral cat problem. It's not individuals. It's these wild cats that are, it's a serious problem, and I don't know if you were at the last meeting. That's what, we had some folks here to address that. But I think we had said $40 a voucher per cat, which wasn't going to be a cost to anybody that trapped a wild cat and took it there. But now there's going to be some costs unless we increase from $40 to $50 or $70.
That's-
How much would be no cost to the person that's trying to prevent?
$50. So if you change the initial, the program that we set up now has a $40 voucher. If you raised it to $50, that would cover the entire cost of a feral cat spay neuter at Spay Bay.
And these folks that are, have these nonprofits set up, how many vouchers would they get? Because instead of me taking one at a time to Spade Bay, they may catch a dozen and take a dozen over there and help solve the problem instead of us doing it one at a time. I know on the east end, I have a terrible problem. I've talked to people all over the city that has a problem with feral cats. People keep feeding them, and that makes the problem worse. If you can spade or neuter them and turn them back loose, then it stops that overpopulation of the cats. So I don't think if somebody's trying to help and they're taking the time out of their day to trap a cat and take it to Spade Bay, that they should have to pay anything. That's what I thought the purpose of it was. So I'd like to see us raise it to cost neutral or $50 or whatever, where they don't have to pay anything out of their pocket if they're taking a cat over there.
I don't have a problem with that, but.
It takes us from what, doing 1,000 down to 800?
Yeah.
Correct.
Who was it telling me? I think I met with some staff that was telling me they have like 100 cats or 200 cats, or what was it, a day?
So Monday, I went to Spay Bay to see their operation several weeks ago. I went in on a Monday. There were cats everywhere. I mean, they were stacked up in carriers, and they told me it was one of their slower days. Now, this is the entire county, not just the beach, but they said it was one of their slower days, and they were estimating they would spay or neuter 100 cats that particular Monday that I was there. And typically, they do more than that in a day.
I'm sorry, Ms. Hatcher. Public comment period is over. Council member.
Based on the draft policy that we have in front of us, we've included domestic cats. And I believe our intent was to really address the feral cat population. So I believe that needs to definitely be taken out, because I agree, I don't think our money should be spent on paying everyone to spay their cat.
Yes.
If you're going to be a responsible pet owner, then you need to be able to afford to be a responsible pet owner.
I agree wholeheartedly, not for people that go out and purchase an animal or have a cat of their own. This is for feral cats, to clean up the city. I think this does a better job to clean it up for all of our residents.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm by no account a cat expert. How easy is it to determine a feral from a domestic if someone brings it in?
I'm not a cat, I mean, I have cats, but I don't know.
Do we have anybody here that can answer that
If
question?
somebody says it's a feral cat, I don't know how you say
They
it's
won't let you
not.
pick them up, I can tell you that.
That's part of it.
Probably true.
Well, I think that's why it will be important for us to work with the organizations that are currently trapping and fixing feral cats. And I think
that's even
those
better.
programs are the ones that we really need to work through. And just see how it works for the first year. You know, either it's a success or it isn't, and then we can reevaluate.
And it may be that you, with doing this a couple of years, that we solve the problem where we don't have to budget any money, or reduce that amount significantly, or I don't know if 40,000 is enough right now to slow it down. But
So right now, the way the policy is written, you know, there's up to 5 vouchers per Panama City Beach resident. And so I hear all of you talking about trap and release groups. So I don't know if that's something that you want to consider. Do you want to issue so many vouchers to these nonprofit groups that are going to really attack the problem? I think the goal is to reduce the feral cat population, and our hope is that from a city perspective, that we reduce our animal control costs that we spend with a third party to come pick up these cats, to shelter them, and to ultimately euthanize a lot of them. And so if we could put some money this way and reduce those costs, that will remain to be seen. It'll take probably a couple years to see if that does in fact happen, but that is our hope from a fiscal standpoint.
Yeah. So, yeah, what you're saying is the 5 per household may not be sufficient for some of these catch and release programs.
Correct.
Is there, Mr. Davis, is there any way that we can make sure that these catch and release programs are nonprofits or registered? They're not just people
Yes,
saying?
so, I mean, obviously, if you're a nonprofit, you have to register with the state of Florida, the Secretary of State, just like any other company. And so we could require that they have proof that they have an active registration with the state of Florida. The question I would put to you is, where does that nonprofit need to be located? So if you look up a nonprofit on the Secretary of State's website, they're going to have a principal place of business. They have to list in the state of Florida, generally. That doesn't have to be, though. Does it need to be in the city limits? Does it need to be in Bay County? Do you care at all? That's just what we would need your direction on.
Okay.
Do we know how many are situated within the city?
I don't
Or
know
the
for
island?
sure. I know that one of the individuals that I spoke to who was with one of the rescue groups, I did ask that question. She indicated to me she thought there were 6 to 7 of those type groups that operated in the city limits. But that was just what she was telling me. I don't know that factually.
I mean, personally, I feel that a nonprofit group dedicated to doing exactly what we want to do is in a better position to do it. And I don't even know if I want to limit them at all.
That's right. I agree with that.
That's my position on the vouchers. If I don't, you're going to have some citizens do it, but I think that the nonprofits are going to be a much more effective method of taking care of the situation. And, I mean, if we've got 800 vouchers and the nonprofits see that and they go out and they are, I hate to say it, slinging cats, then when they get all 800, then mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, what was the lady's name that brought us this?
Terry.
Well, Lori Deaton is the one that came and spoke at the council meeting.
I'd love for us to speak with her. I mean, she seems like the cat expert.
So I have spoken to her.
Okay.
I actually got feedback from her on the initial draft of this policy, and also spoke with Terry Cotter, who runs Spay Bay.
Right.
And spoke to Nicole from Open Sands Kitty Rescue. Had a lot of cat talks lately. And I think all of them would agree with you that if you really want to attack the problem, it's through those groups as opposed to the individuals, for all the reasons that you've stated.
Yeah, sounds to me that's kind of the direction I'm hearing.
I mean, do we want to set aside, say, 50 for local residents, and we'll even see if they're utilized or not? That way, at least if a local wants to utilize the program for feral cats, it's not like, well, there's none left for you.
Yeah, or they have to launder it through a spay organization. So I'm fine. Set aside 50.
Yeah, I like that.
If we find out in a month or two that 50 is gone, we can increase it to 100.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. It's worth, when the residents, when we get close on that one, getting an update from staff, and also I would say maybe halfway through the number of vouchers, or in 6 months, whichever comes first, get an update on the program.
Mm-hmm.
So limit 50 for residents, unlimited for spay neuter nonprofits operating in or registered in Bay County? Or do you want it to be in the municipal limits?
I kind of want it in the municipal.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think we really need to focus it there.
Yeah, yeah, well, and we can see if we have other people come, like,
Yeah.
this is not the final, this is a resolution, we don't have to do
Yes,
two
sir.
readings, it's not the final draft. So, in the municipal limits, is that it?
Let's see, there's one
How
more.
many do
Oh,
we have
increase
in
it to 50.
municipal limits? Did you say we had 5 or 6 inside the city?
I was told 6 to 7 inside the city.
Inside.
But I don't, like I said, I don't have any factual knowledge of that. I was
Okay.
just
Yeah.
told that by one of the other individuals.
And possibly do a PR thing that lets residents know who these nonprofits are that are operating in Panama City Beach. So
Okay.
they can call them
Yeah.
if need be.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
I
You
have a
need
couple
5 minutes?
questions. And Holly, I don't know if I heard you mention the price increase from 40 to 50?
Yes, so if you
Okay.
want to cover the entire cost, the voucher would change from the 40 to the 50, which I think is where you guys are coming up with your 800 number of
Is
vouchers.
everyone okay with that?
Yeah, price increase.
And no domestic cats?
No domestic cats.
No domestic cats.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Got it?
I want to clarify the unlimited part. I mean,
Well, we have 800.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure we're not going above the.
Oh, no, no.
$1,000.
Yeah, we've budgeted the money already.
Yeah, absolutely, I just want to
Yeah.
clarify the unlimited.
We're just
part.
not spending
We're not-
more than what we've
More than
budgeted
what we have, just want to make that clear.
at this point.
Yeah,
There was an original limit of 5, and since we're really pushing for the nonprofits, we're not going to limit them out of what's available.
I mean, if the residents don't, if these aren't cashed in or tracked, or can we,
There's no cash value to these, so.
not
if you-
cashed in, but are they used? If they're unutilized at the end of the year, can we promote that, hey, we have these vouchers that we need to get done?
Yeah, yes, I
Try to
didn't mean to cut you off. Yes, we can do that. And I think what we would propose to do would be, so, the vouchers get issued by the city to these groups or individuals. They take them to Spay Bay. Spay Bay is going to turn around and give us those vouchers for us to pay Spay Bay for each voucher. So we'll be able to track all year long. We'll know exactly where we are in terms of how much of the funding we've spent. We can very easily bring that back to you.
Yeah.
If you find that you've spent it all in the first 2 months and we're done for the year, so be it. If you want to expand it, that's entirely up to you.
All right.
But we'll report those numbers back. My conversations with Spay Bay is they'll probably remit the vouchers to us on a monthly basis. So we'll know each month how many of those are being actually utilized.
Will we put these out at a limited time? Like, you would give each one 50 at a time, or?
That's up to you guys.
100, I just think it needs to be, because we have one that takes them, and then they say, hey, we're not in the cat span, but we've got 200 vouchers sitting here that we have that are not being used, and we don't know about it. How are we tracking that? And then we get to the end of the year and the program has kind of failed. Are we going to limit that to like, hey, come get more when you need them? How many you think you're going to do?
That'd be the direction from the dais up there. If you want us to limit it at 50 per time they come up, and once they're spent, we can do another 50. That's how, whatever the dais prefers on that.
That's fine with me.
50?
Yeah.
50.
I mean, do you think that's too
it's
many,
high,
or?
50 seems like a lot.
Okay.
25.
I think 50 sounds a little high as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to see them perform before we get all in.
Yeah.
You may
And like it-
outperform the
Yeah.
other, right?
Exactly. You may have one group that's very aggressive that will use a lot more of the vouchers than some that may only do one a month.
Yeah.
But every one a month is going to save a lot of kittens.
You want to limit to 25, or a number that you guys would like to pick?
Yeah, I mean, at
We want to
most,
land on that.
yeah,
The intent here is not to make them come back to City Hall every time they need a voucher, is that right?
Correct.
So
Yeah.
maybe you can get some information from them. I mean, how many would they do in a month?
Well, I will tell you that each individual cat has to be transported in an individual carrier. So it's not like they can go gather 20 cats and put them in a cage and haul them all down. They've got to have 20 separate crates, carriers to carry 20 cats. So I don't know how easy it is, even as a group, to necessarily fit 50 cat carriers in your vehicle and take them to Spay Bay.
Let's just say 15 for now, and if we need to change it, we can change it.
Or you can say not to exceed 25 for now.
Yeah.
do we need to give you direction for this level, or can staff just pick this?
I mean, you guys are all over the place here, so I mean, it would be helpful if you told us what you wanted to do. We can report back to you as early as the first month after the program and see how things are going, and you can change your mind, but we have no idea.
Yeah.
This is a pilot.
This
how
seems
this is gonna work.
extremely in the weeds.
Well, I mean, we've got one meeting left in November.
Okay.
It's not going to get voted on today, so we can.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
You can
Or,
vote
well,
today.
I'm making the changes
oh,
as
you're-
you
oh,
directed.
Okay,
Yeah, so-
you are.
So let's just say-
Johnny on the spot then, okay,
Not more than 20 unredeemed at a time.
okay, that's fine, 20.
Okay?
All right, can you restate that again? I'm sorry.
No more than 20 at a time.
No more than 20 at a time. They can only receive 20 at a time.
No, whether they're an entity or a person is still 5.
Person is still 5.
Person's still 5.
Entity can get up to 20 at a time, but they can come back and get 20 more the
Yeah.
next day.
What,
See, this.
okay,
yeah.
so Yeah, they get 20. Do we have to have confirmation that those 20 have been utilized before they get another 20?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay.
We can do that from staff.
Sorry, Cole.
I mean, they should be billing us in a timely manner, so we
Monthly.
know
Yeah, they're going to
exactly
bill us
how
monthly.
many are being redeemed and when they're being redeemed.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll be able to track when we issue that voucher, who it was issued to. So
And
if
then-
if that group comes up here, we will know what number of vouchers that group got. And then Spay, when they
Turn
send us
them
those
in, we
vouchers,
can-
we'll know which ones were
Right.
redeemed.
20's
Okay.
$1,000 worth of money that
Yeah,
we're putting out.
so
I mean, it's
does-
still money. It's still our money and it's in
Yeah.
our budget. We need to make sure it's being utilized properly.
Yep.
I mean, it's just fiscally responsible, so.
So there you go.
I think 20 is a great number.
And before they get an additional, we have to confirm the use of the original
Yeah,
20 issued.
good, 20. And they have to be used.
You want to talk about chickens again?
Let's not.
Well, I want to get done with this, I want to get done with this meeting.
Cats and chickens.
Mm,
All right.
It's the little things. Okay. Do you have everything, Mr.
I
Davis?
think so.
All right.
We're going to find out.
Do we want to put you ready now?
All right, so we have made the changes to increase the cost to $50 per voucher.
Yes.
We have removed any services to domestic cats. We have allowed for what we'll call qualified entities, which is those that have proof of an active registration with a principal business in the city limits. Vouchers for residents will stay at 5 per person. Qualified entities are limited to issuance of 20 vouchers at any one time, and no qualified entity may receive additional vouchers until the city has confirmed that the qualified entity has utilized all previously issued vouchers.
You say 20 or 25?
20,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
That's it. Is that everything?
The
And do
50
you
for
say
the,
in there that they're feral cats? They have to be
They're
feral.
stray, I call them stray cats.
remember,
Okay.
And I define what a stray cat is if you guys are reading.
yeah, and then
Maybe
we've
you should
allocated,
define that.
I did, it's in there.
we've allocated 50 specifically for.
And there's a minimum of 50 vouchers reserved for use by city residents.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do all the things?
Not for domestic cats, though.
Okay, you may have by
Let's
vote.
vote.
And direction to staff is, just give us an update.
We'll report back to you.
All right.
All right.
Great.
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Pizzoni?
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Teddemer?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, next up, Resolution 2512.
A resolution of the City of Panama City Beach, Florida, approving an agreement with B1 Management Group LLC, DBA Beaches Construction Company, for the construction of the Miracle League Pavilion and Restroom Project at Frank Brown Park in the total amount of $585,622 and authorizing a budget amendment.
Okay, Ms. Joyner?
Hello.
Hey.
Actually, I spotted Mr. Tatum back there with DAG, so I'm very excited to see him. He was the firm that put this together for us, so if you have more detailed questions. This is going to go in hopefully next to the Miracle League field. We run our Miracle League season twice a year. Excited to say it's really been coming back after COVID, and we're back up to 41 kids right now. It's doing great. We also hold our veterans game there. This is going to benefit them. It'll be adjacent to the skate park, so it'll be used by everyone in the park. It's also along the walking trail, so a good place for people to stop. It'll have a water fountain and restrooms. So really hoping that we can move forward with this project.
Okay, so this is 2 bathrooms,
Both handicap accessible.
both handicap accessible. It'll be next to the skate park, it'll be next to Miracle League. And are we going to have any bathrooms next to the pickleball courts, or is this going to service them as well?
We're asking for that in the design, and I guess that'll all come back to you guys if you choose less courts and a bathroom, or, but yes, we're asking for that in the design because it is across, the proposed pickleball spot is across the connector road.
Yep.
It's in the vicinity of it, though.
It is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, initially, we could build the pickleball courts. Yeah, it
Absolutely.
worked out. If we needed a bathroom, we could build a bathroom
Absolutely.
later.
Okay,
That's what I say.
So this one came in fairly over budget. What happened there?
Well, I think it's, from what Mr. Tatum, we've discussed is, higher wind loads. When we first looked at this with DAG, we went out to our other pavilions in the middle grounds and, kind of used that as what we were looking for. Since then, codes and, hurricanes have increased wind load codes, and just inflation costs have driven it up from what we initially discussed as structurally for the pavilion.
Okay. Any other questions from the council?
I would just like to say we've been talking about this since I've been in office, so it's to finally
Price went up.
see something on paper, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's very exciting because the restrooms that are there are in very sad condition.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Joyner.
Thank you.
Any public comment?
Most definitely. This is what I do.
Please state your name.
Janice Hatcher.
Thank you.
Thank you. When you're building something, what is our bid for this project? And I am a builder. We build every day, so I know what I'm talking about. Right at this point in time, there's less building going on than had ever been before. So I highly recommend, as most of you know, I can do some really good negotiating. I highly recommend that you put this out to more builders. If you're coming in overpriced, just don't accept it. This is our money. The people of this city work hard, pay taxes. You are good stewards of our money, should be. So the way you become a good steward is you pass that plan, that engineered plan, to some really qualified builders in this city and ask them what their bid is. Not just this one person. I mean, there's many people can build a bathroom in these stats. It happens every day. I just don't think you're negotiating wide enough when you come and you say, we're going to do whatever for $45. Have you put that out there for everybody to look at? I do that every day for a living. That's what I do because I save myself money. I want you to start saving money. When we come up here and it's $1 million or it's $950,000, and that's a lot of money, and it's $50 for a cat or this, that. But you know what we really are looking at? We need to be good stewards of our money and take that contract that the engineer provided and pass it out to some of our local builders who really need and can build that beautifully and probably save you $200,000 or $300,000. It's just that way. That's how it's done. And I don't know that that's being done. I would like to know how many people have you passed that architectural plan out to and all the bids that you have gotten. That way we may have more bathrooms. We may have enough money to have more bathrooms. Just I ask you to negotiate the things instead of saying, that sounds great, and everybody nods. And as for the cats, I didn't get to speak on them. We did used to have a...
I'm sorry, this is only about the pavilion.
I'll be back on the cats. It was too good.
Thank you. Mr. Whitman, can you talk about our public bidding process?
Yeah, our public bidding process, we did put it out to everybody. We had 2 bidders. They were quite similar in price. Anyone was allowed to bid on it. It was on our website, I believe, for 30 days. And we did have the 2 bids. One came in, I think, at $593, and the winning bid came in at $585. They were quite similar. A lot of it was due to the cost of the foundation, the depth and the width, because it's got to withstand 160-mile-an-hour wind gust. We did do our due diligence looking at it, and that was just the cost of doing this building. But it was open to anyone that wanted to bid on it. It was out there for anybody in the public, on DemandStar and also on our website.
Okay. Thank you. Any comment from the council?
Just to clarify, Mr. Whitman, when the bid comes back and we accept this bid and we've got it in our hands, and then when they come back and ask for a budget amendment and it goes up, do we re-put it out, or does that other company have a chance to go back in, or how does that work?
We'd have to rebid it, and we'd have to start the process all over again.
Oh, okay.
So you can decline all bids, reject all bids, and do it again. But with these being so similar in price, and talking to one of the individual that lost the bid, this is where it's going to be when we put it back out anyways, quite similar prices. So instead of holding up the project in the skateboard park, I asked for the adjustment of the $240,000 so we can get this built.
And just for the public, so they'll know, since this was brought up, where can they go to find projects like this to bid on?
Anyone can sign up for DemandStar, or they can go to the city's webpage for the bids or anything that we have out there.
It's called DemandStar?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and it's not just the bathrooms, it's also the pad for the skate park, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Further comment from the council?
I would say if we'd just had one bidder on it, I would want to put it back out, but since we had two bidders and they were close in price, I would move to go ahead and take the low bidder on this and get it started.
Second.
Okay. Ms. Mazzoni?
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
Yes.
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman?
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Tettemer?
Yes, ma'am. Next up is the skate park discussion. Ms. Joy?
Thank you. I'm actually going to bring up my Assistant Director, Keith Myrle. He's going to do the presentation for you. His career, he's had previous experience with skate parks as well, and he's been the lead on this project and done a great job, and I'm going to let him lead this as well.
Thank you, Cheryl, Mayor and Council. Really excited to present this plan to you today. The development of the skate park has really brought us to this final concept. What you see on the screen there is from the public input meeting number 2. And in that particular meeting, we had 30 to 35 people at that meeting. And we had about 45 online surveys also for that particular meeting. And the main focus really was to make the features of this park fun-sized, inviting, provide multiple lanes for skaters and riders with various skating areas, and provide more experienced riders with those elements. So this was design number 1, which was the preferred design of the people in group. This was concept number 2, and a lot of these elements were also considered to be preferred as well. So what the designer did then was took those elements and came back with the final concept design. What you can see here is a couple of really cool elements. So towards the south of the park, you can see number 8, and that is kind of the mid-speed lane for the riders. You can see the plateau up there on the left corner that will allow skaters to stage themselves before they go into the park, going to another plateau in the middle, gaining speed, and then going up to the quarter pipe on both ends. Down at number 7, you see the low-speed street lane, and that's more for gathering your speed going into the main park and being more low speed. And area number 10, that's more of a hybrid access. Number 12 are the access lanes coming in from the park over by the Miracle League, with number 10 being an area where they can just enter the park and be introduced to the park. That element you see there at number 10 is also a bench, but it's also a rideable bench where skaters can get use that bench to do a trick there as well. You see a number of shade elements there, number 4s, the 2 4s, and those are really placeholders, and the design of those will be determined later. But the really exciting element are the elements number 9, and that's artificial turf spectator zones, where people would be able to come and sit, bring chairs or blankets, and be able to just watch skaters while they're out there, but also for a place for skaters to just relax and have a social element as well. So really, some exciting elements in this design. We have a lot of native plants in the landscape beds, and then potentially, if we had to do a basin, that's included there at number 3 as well. So we really feel like New Line met the challenge of coming up with a design that, one, it fit with Frank Brown Park, but also complemented the other skate parks in the area. So that was one of the things that the skate park community really emphasized, to take other elements that weren't already present in Panama City, at Publix, at Fort Walton, and to have a variety. And we feel like, they feel like as a community that this would do that. There is another survey that just closed yesterday that's kind of a public comment, and we received largely really good positive comments about this particular design. And then the last slide here, you can see just a little bit of the cost elements. It is fitting within our budget. So you can see that we have lighting, the shade structures, this artificial turf zones, site furnishings, and then the planting and landscape as well. The overall skate park construction itself is about $950,000. The design and engineering was around $130,000, and all the other elements come in about $325,000. So it's hitting the mark budget-wise, but it's also hitting the mark on really hitting the mark on all those elements that the skate park community have emphasized. So this is the plan that we're presenting today. Kind of our next steps is we'll receive approval on the concept design from the council. New Line would continue with their final design and construction documents. Pending permit reviews and approval, the project would be on schedule to begin in early 2025 and an anticipation grand opening in the summer of 2025.
Okay.
So appreciate your support and open for any comments or questions.
I'll say I really like the street style concept. I know it's very popular in Panama City, and the only issue they had was it's too small over there. Council member.
I was just wondering, what is the elevation change on this for when they go up the ramp?
It's a maximum of 3 to 4 feet. So if I go back to this slide here, on the west side of the park, you see kind of a 3-step prop over on the side. And that's the highest elevation. That far step would be 4 feet. So the highest would be a 4 feet drop.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
We talk about this detention basin a little bit.
Sure.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what that actually is?
Well, it's really going to be a product of the permitting and whether stormwater is going to require us to have a basin. Over number 5 to the east side of the park, that is already a natural wetland. And if we're able to have all the water flow into that, then we won't need number 3.
Okay.
And if it's not allowable from permitting, then we may have to have that basin.
I just hope not. I hope, from a mosquito standpoint and everything,
Yep.
we can get it moved out in a way. And
Yeah,
plus,
and
it's just
there
not.
could be some things that we could do with that. We could do a natural rain garden, so it could be something other than just a little pond.
I'd like to see it be something more aesthetically pleasing. We're using all this money to build a beautiful park, and you got
Yeah.
great landscaping and great areas, as opposed to it just being something with a bunch of weeds in it that catches when it rains and just a mosquito heaven. And I think.
Yeah, and Councilman, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I think, if you do something, maybe a pond or something, have some kind of water feature in it, if you guys are going to do anything there, just to make that whole area more aesthetically pleasing would be something I think would be relatively inexpensive to do. And
That's something we could do in-house, and we've done that with some of our other ponds. So that's a good idea, though.
Thank you.
Yeah, and as they get further along in their permitting process, we'll know for sure whether that's going to be a requirement. There could also be like a dry pond, similar to what we have in other areas at Frank Brown, where it's just grass, and when it gets wet, and if it's overly heavily rained, then that might be wet then, and then it would dry off, and then we mow it, similar to what we do with other
Absolutely,
areas.
yeah, absolutely. Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Help me understand, above the mid-speed lane, there's this ramp with a gap between it. That seems to be the big difference between the first 2 concepts and the final concept. What was the demand for that? What's the goal there?
Mayor, it's not really a gap. It's just a shading of the concrete. So
Okay.
it's to
So
look
it's not
like
a gap.
river. It's not a gap.
Okay.
Correct. It's aesthetics. The brown is a dyed concrete, and that would be something there as well, just to kind of break up the concrete.
I definitely thought it was a gap as well. So.
Yeah.
I did too.
In
First time I
earlier
saw it, I thought
discussions,
a
it
gap.
was indicated a gap.
Well, but I mean, you look at the arrows coming, it does look like you would jump that, right?
Yeah.
Well,
I was just like, why are we putting a big hole in our skate park?
At number 8, you have the plateau.
Drainage.
With the, you have the plateau with the rail. So you
Yeah.
do have that up and down, but there's not an actual gap there that you would.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
This concept and design is after many meetings with professionals and the public, and this is what you guys have come up with.
Yes, sir.
Because none of us up here, I don't think, are skateboarders, so
Speak for yourself, Paul.
I'm going to lean on the experts on it. I think it's great. I think we ought to move forward with it if that's what you need us to do.
That sounds great.
If there's no further discussion, I'm still going to call for public comment.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment? All excited when it gets started, but
The skateboarders must be happy they didn't show up.
I guess so.
I spoke to a bunch of them. They were happy.
Yeah.
They really like it, so I think it's a great thing.
yeah, this is a great design.
Yeah, I thought the public meetings went very well.
Great. And, yeah, thanks to New Line Skate Parks for running those meetings. We want to build what people want here.
Makes perfect sense.
All right.
Motion for concept 3.
All right. The proposal.
Is that what we're doing?
Is that the one you want?
Or the final concept.
Or the final concept?
Final concept.
Second.
Ms. Mazzoni?
Casto,
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn,
Yes.
Councilman Register,
Yes, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Jarman,
Yes, ma'am.
Mayor Chenemer.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. City manager.
Just real short, at the beginning of the council meeting, we demonstrated how we have several men and women that are dedicated to the city by giving them plaques. I'd just like to thank every employee that works for our city that serves and provides comfort to our residents and our visitors. They do a great job for the city, and I'm proud of each and every one of them.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Mr.
No
Davis? No report.
No report.
Okay. Mr. Castro?
Nothing for me, Mayor.
Okay. Councilmember Coburn?
Nothing for me.
Councilman Register?
I do want to talk about quickly the roundabout at 79, possibly. I don't know how this would get done, but to put something kind of iconic and welcoming, maybe working with the arts community to do something there, I think it's a great opportunity. We've got an incredible community that's very artistic, and I think it's an opportunity for us to do something that really welcomes people to Panama City Beach. I don't know how to do that. I'm leaning on you guys to maybe help with that, but that's something I'd like to see done. I don't know if you guys, if anybody's of interest, but the landscaping down there is definitely not up to par and representative of who we are as Panama City Beach. It needs to be something that, I mean, this is our gateway and who we are. So I think it'd be great for residents and visitors alike. So I don't know if anybody has any interest in that, but it's something I have interest in.
I think with power and everything that we've got down there now, we need to, that's a good idea.
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons we ran power out there, is so if we have a lighted sign or art or whatever we put
Something.
out there. But yes, that's been in discussion, but
We talked about that before you guys were up here, and this, where are we at with finishing the landscaping and everything down there, Drew?
The roundabout's done right now. They have some landscaping down there. They've done the south side of it. They're slowly doing it as they go, but the last time we talked about art, it sort of died on the dais, so I'd need direction to bring that back up, and we could get a committee or put it out for a proposal to see what they could bring back to us. But they just started doing landscaping last week, so I think they were just finishing up yesterday or today at the roundabout.
79, they still got to put their last course of asphalt on there and stripe that, and we'll finally be done with 79 once that's done, I guess.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
How far are we out from
We're
that?
hoping the beginning of the year. Courtney's working on that for us right now.
Okay, but I think that's a great idea to come up with something down there at 79. We talked about that, Mary and I were up here a couple of years ago. Maybe have some kind of contest with the school kids, let them come up with something, and
well, we also have a public art committee
an
that
art committee.
could
I
be
mean,
tasked
yeah.
with,
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just needs to
I think
be
we can
something-
start with getting some information from them.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I'm not talking a beach ball. I mean, something that's iconic, that represents us.
Thank you.
exactly. Thank you very much.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, obviously. I mean, I love our beach ball drop, and that's who we are, right? But something that's iconic and representative and welcoming and speaks for residents and visitors. I think
Yeah.
it'd be a great thing if we can come up with something along those lines. Yes, sir.
I just want to clarify something on the public art committee. The public art committee is tasked with approving the art
Ah.
you would do here, so you would need, if you wanted to utilize the arts community to develop a program, the public art committee probably wouldn't be the spot, because they are ultimately the gatekeepers of what art gets. If you had a bunch of applications, they're the ones who would vet it.
I got you.
Can we fix the way that committee's, or give them the ability to be able to do that?
Anything's possible. Sure.
I mean, why would we not?
Yes,
give
it
them-
is possible to do that.
Yes,
Well,
it is possible
Yeah.
to do that if you want to direct us to do that.
I mean, I think maybe we change the outline of the committee and let them, I mean, they know it better. I don't know anything about art, but I do enjoy it, and I think it's beautiful, and I think it's a great opportunity for us. So if we can maybe change some rules around that committee where they can come up with some concepts instead of just approving, maybe that would be more beneficial to us up here.
Or maybe just getting that committee to provide us some options of how to get some concepts.
Yeah, I like that. Because, I think I've heard about 4 up here, school kids, some of the artists I'm sure would be interested. So we can ask that committee and see what it takes to change it, to say, bring us options for how we would
Love it, yes.
add to the gateway to our city, and I really appreciate you
That's right.
bringing that up. Councilman.
It needs to be a focal point right there for
Yep.
sure.
Absolutely. And one of the things I'd like to mention, I've worked on several projects like this before, and what we did is we put out and let artists put together a charrette of their art, what they'd like to see, their vision, and then they would bring those forward, and then something would be picked from that. And then maybe that's the art committee that we would use to select. But sometimes if you do a charrette like that, you can do it at a relatively low cost.
Well, I
And
don't
even
know-
get the public involved as well.
I don't know what charrette means, but it sounds nice.
I was about to Google it, but I was afraid it'd be super obvious.
Basically, they just put their art together and they come and
A portfolio.
show it to
Okay.
you. Yeah. Well, what their vision is
Oh,
for that
for
spot.
that
They
project.
actually give you a rough vision to look at
Okay.
and talk about the different types of materials that they could build it with.
Well, what a blessing it is to have you here that have done that before
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
can help guide us on that. So,
Some good teamwork on this one. Mr. Davis, do you have what you need to proceed?
I think so, yeah. We can keep working internally and work with you on moving forward.
Again, Councilman, great idea, and I think it's one of these things that can show that the CRA is both working for residents and visitors. We can have our residents come together and
well, I don't want
really
to take credit for
participate.
the idea. Apparently, it's come up before I was here. So I'm glad we're able to bring it back up. But I was just riding through there this morning. I said, well, this could definitely be better and better representation of who we are. Great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. That's exciting.
Historically, maybe we need a big Y up there.
Yeah. Or a memorial to the Y.
There you go. Y with a circle around it.
For my own council comments, congratulations to TMH for opening the medical office building. Thanks for everyone who joined. That's a big step forward. Congratulations to the folks at Frank Brown Park for opening the Connected Learning Center. Thank you to Boys and Girls Club and AT&T for providing the funding for that, and Boys and Girls Club for working together to help our kids really grow. That's a great project. Hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. As I mentioned earlier, voting's going on now. So in PCB, early voting is at Lindell and Frank Brown. They're open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day through Saturday, November 2nd. I really appreciate all the poll workers and election workers, poll watchers and election workers who are working really hard to keep Bay County elections safe, convenient, and secure. We really are a model for the rest of the country in terms of our elections. So go vote. Understand the amendments. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have 3 things.
Sorry, I missed.
That's okay.
Yep.
I would like to see if the council's with me. I'd like to put the Mill Coal Project road back out for bid. That road we've got to try and get something done with that road. So if the council is in agreement, I would like to direct staff to put that back out for bid and see if we can get some contractors that would be willing to do that work and get that fixed.
We got to fix those big manholes that are leaking,
Oh, yeah.
that are 20 foot deep before we pave the road there.
Well, I know. I mean, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And then I also want to see where the council is on getting staff to reevaluate and look at the franchise agreement for the trash haulers. I think that's expired now. If staff wants to bring us back something similar or some changes.
Can we go one thing at a time so we're clear on direction?
Oh, yeah, sure.
For staff?
Sounds good to me.
I can understand it better.
Just clear direction, when you're talking Mill Cole, you're talking all of Bidwee or just Mill Cole itself?
That section in Mill Cole that I know is just.
Just Mill Cole, okay.
Yeah.
A point on that, when I discussed this earlier with staff, the issue was the project wasn't big enough, and we didn't get bids on it. We just had a case with the pavilion where the project really went over budget because it wasn't big enough. I would like, we can bid it out, but I'd also like staff to consider options for combining that with some
Okay.
other projects so that we can get some bids on it.
Yeah, that's fine. I just know that area.
It's terrible.
Other projects in
is.
that area, other projects across the beach, or where are you talking?
Other projects in that area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can work with staff on that. I just needed clear direction on which point he was looking at.
Okay.
Okay.
We're all good with that one? All right.
All right, yes, sir.
Second, if the council wants staff to revisit the trash hauler franchise agreement, that's expired now, probably need to look at that, and then have staff come back with any recommendations they might have of either leaving it as is or changing it.
It's fine with me.
Yeah, I think it needs to be, yeah, staff can do that, that'd be great.
All right. And then last is if I can get a report, Cheryl, Mr. Whitman, on where we are on the bid process for the pickleball courts at Frank Brown, next meeting.
We're about to put that out. She's been working on that. That'll be coming out in the near future. We're wrapping up the stormwater, and we should have something out shortly on that. But
All right.
I'll give you a final statement on that when I get back with Cheryl.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay.
Good deal.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Real quick, we just had the update for the schools. Good luck to the Marlins tomorrow. I think it's the last game. If they win, they go into the playoffs.
Excellent.
Yeah. And just ask the Lord to bless and protect everyone in Panama City Beach, particularly our visitors for Thunder Beach. Thank God for the opportunity to serve you. And ask for strength and wisdom to know and do His will. Next meeting is Thursday, November 14th at 9 a.m. right here. It's the only meeting in November. Looking forward to it.